Alright, so here we are in the basement. That's my Econo-TIG, my empty argon tank. I got that on Craigslist, of course. Not everything I got on Craigslist was a super duper deal, but I think most things were pretty good. I pick a price and I just wait. And this was, I think, $6.50. And it's fine. It's AC, DC. It doesn't have pulse or any of that crap, but it does everything I need it to do. It'll weld aluminum and steel, and it's not the most powerful machine in the world, but I'm not doing structural welding. So let's look at, I have this little, I think it's a strong hands thing. This is pretty handy, so I brought it in here. And I have some practice pieces. I've already taken the most of the mill scale off with the vinegar, and I'll practice, welding them with the oxyacetylene welder. And we have a couple of tips. We'll figure out which one works best. But here's my sample. Let me stop this and put this on the tripod, so you don't have to watch my jittering hand the whole time. All right, so this is the pattern that I got from the interweb, and one of those, I think I posted a link on it. There's a cardboard fold-up version of the hammer, and I printed it out and cut this off. I ended up printing it at 97% to fit 4 by 1 3/8. So you can vary the percent to fit your hammer. So I took this and I put that on there, and I took a razor and I made a little stencil. And I put it on this piece of metal. This is I practiced on this a lot. And I went over it with a nail polish pen, and then I went over that with nail polish. And this is the result. Come around here so see if I can see this here. There we go. So that's the result. The pattern came out fine, and it's deep enough that you can hear it, and I didn't spend all that long on it. So I think with the actual hammer I'll spend a lot of time on it. The actual hammer, I think the steel will be smoother, or at least I'll do my best to make the steel smoother. And I have those vinyl letters coming, so I'm hoping that they will really work like a champ. So we can get these really, this is the opposite of what I want. I covered the whole, actually, my stencil deal didn't work, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. This is the results of my stencil here on this side, and it's really poor. It just, nothing I tried to do through the stencil stuck except for this little bit, and I can barely even feel that. So on this, I put down a solid layer of nail polish, and then I took a scribe. I taped the stencil on, I took a scribe, and I went around through each section of the stencil. I taped it down, and I went through and I scribed away the nail polish. Once I had that done, to my satisfaction, I took this off, and I took the scribe and I touched it up a lot. And then, so the Celtic knot design has no resist on it, and everything else is nail polish. And that worked really well. So I'm hoping that, well, the vinyl letters will be just the opposite. The vinyl decal will be the Celtic knot decal, details will be the vinyl. And then all of this will be blank steel. So there'll be a rectangle around it, and the rectangle should, and the spaces in between the knot, the lines should get etched away, and the lines themselves should be proud, just like an etching should be. So yeah, so that's that. When I get the vinyl, I'll show you how I did it, but there are a lot of videos on how to etch metal. I used a little battery charger that I had, and a couple of wires, and some old t-shirt. So there's a lot of videos and people who are very good at it. So I suggest you watch some of those if you have an interest in doing this. All right, so I'm gonna go out to the garage where we're working at, wait, hold on. So I have not given you dimensions. I gave you all the other dimensions that I cut, except for these. I just cut them according to that piece of paper I showed you. The cutout for the folding hammer. However, I wanted to cut the ends to fit because, you know, no matter how careful I am, if I cut the end, it would not fit. So I wait until all the other pieces are cut, and then I lined them up like this, and then I measured. It's going to be square. I'm going to make it square. Even if this is not square, I'm going to make it square. So I measured, and then I decided on 4 5/8. It was a little large, so I'm grinding it down. So that's how I came up with the measurements for the ends. And I'll make 4 of those, and I'm cutting all 4 at the same time. So hopefully all of these are consistent enough that I can fill in any differences with a little weld metal and move forward. And that's what's left of my pour de wall grinder. Throw that away. That was a disaster. All right, so we're back in the garage, and here are those end pieces all together. So I cut them out. They were pretty close. I cut them out on the bandsaw, and then I cut these corners. I realized that the 4 5/8 was too big, and so I put them all together, and I ground all 4 sides down. So I think I'm going to be happy with that. I also cut out a whole bunch more circles. These ones came out kind of crappy because for some reason maybe it's the heat. I don't know if heat affects magnets, but my little magnet that I had on the back of on this guy stopped being such a good magnet. When I first put it in there, it held really well, and then it stopped. So I got this larger magnet. It sits proud, but that's okay. I used it to cut out some more. They're down in the vinegar at the moment. So next, I believe I want to do something different this time. I have to do 2 things before we move forward. All right, so the 2 things that I want to do are, 1, last time I made, make sure you can see this, I have a habit of keeping things out of frame. Last time I made the box, and then I took my little magnet deals and I held these on one at a time, and I tacked them. And then I went and did these triangle pieces. So I saw, I'll put a link on if I haven't already, on a site called, I think it's RPG or something, where somebody made an amazing hammer. And what he did was make the end pieces first. He made these, and this one, of course, and he did his etching. And then he made the box, and he attached these to the box. So that's what I'm going to do. I think also I'm going to move from a double thickness end cap to a single thickness end cap. I think I think that's close enough, because the double is a lot of trouble unless I can go and get some 1/4-inch steel, and if I can do that, then I might as well buy some argon. So that's one thing I have to do. The other thing, in order to do this, I have lots of angles over here to help me get my things welded on at the right angles. I have a 45, I have a 25 and a 30, and that's for these, and these from this direction. This is 45 from either side, and this is 30 degrees right here. But if I'm going to make this top cap separate, then I can't do this angle. Yeah, one that's not broken open. I can't do this angle. I have to do this angle. And so I have to take the end piece and hold this, and this is 60 degrees. So if this is 30, then therefore this is 60, because these are 90. Right? That makes sense, doesn't it? So I need to make a 60-degree jig so that I can hold these 4 pieces consistently, all 8 pieces really, on the 2 end pieces consistently at 60 degrees. So that's number 2 thing I have to do next. I'm also working on some little pieces of pipe. I thought that for this one I would use this 3/4 inch pipe, schedule whatever, just black pipe for the handle. It's just a hair over an inch. And a lot of these black pipes, the next size will fit over the smaller size. But 3/4 and 1 inch, not so much. So I cut off some pieces of this like that, and I'm cleaning out the insides with a little one of those, and just going yeah forever and ever. And after a while, swear to God it worked. After a while it kind of worked, so I'm almost there. This will be the piece that sits right here. It'll be like that. And then I need a piece for the pommel. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this pipe for the pommel because it needs to be closed on the end. It needs to go like that, like a giant thumb. So I don't think the pipe is going to be good. I'm going to have to go to the Home Depot or a plumbing supply place and see if I can find something that fits over the top of 3/4 inch black pipe that I can grind into the shape of a pommel. All right, so that's where we are. I'm going to work on these some more, grinding the insides of these to try and get them to fit. I'm going to work on my 60-degree angle template jig here. And I'm going to work on I think I have my ends. And I'm waiting on some more things and the vinegar. So, yeah, I guess we'll see you later. Alright, so I made my little jig. It's just 2 pieces of angle iron. Make sure I'm in the frame here. It's just 2 pieces of bed frame, really, that I found on the sidewalk. I drive around the neighborhood on trash day looking for steel, and bed frames are far and away the most popular things that I find that people like to put out on the curb. So I just put a tack here just to make sure it was at 60 degrees. And let's just, I guess I can check it. Dun dun dun. Where are we? Can you? No. Yep. So that's close enough for me. So that, and I can work on this. I like the outside jigs. I love the inside jigs where the pieces are in here because they just sit in there. But the outside jigs enable me to get this joint just like I like it. These are all going to be doubled up. But this, as you can see, it can be like that. It can be, it can be closer to even. And then I can just clamp it in place and then tack that. I can get these corners lined up here and here and make sure that everything is the way I want it. And I can show you, I think, if I can do this and still be on camera, that this is, I think, maybe this way? No. This way? No. This way, there. So it's about 60 degrees there. My cardboard one, and this one is at 60 degrees. My jig is at 60 degrees anyway. So that's really close enough for me. So once everything has once the mill scale is off all of the pieces, then I'll start tacking these end parts together, and I guess we can start assembly. The only things I'm worried about are these corner pieces and how they're going to fit together, and where I made them a little long because I wasn't sure how much of a corner to clip there. It wasn't clear to me how this was going to work. So I made them a little long, and I'm going to do my best not to have big gobs of weld metal here that I need to grind off. I'd like to keep these surfaces relatively clean, so I can just take the weld metal down to a corner that I can live with and bring them to an actual angle, a corner here, and not have to do any grinding on these flat surfaces. So that's my intention, and then hopefully these will fit in there, and I might have to cut these down a little bit. It looks like I will. Or I can pull them down here and cut off the other end. It depends on how they fit in here. So we'll move forward as soon as everything's out of the pickle, I guess you call it. All right, there is one more thing we can do while we're waiting for the rest of the pieces to come out of the vinegar and get rid of the mill scale. And that is, we'll take our 45-degree jig, and one of our end pieces where the handle goes, make sure I'm in frame, probably not. We'll take our 45-degree jig and one of our pieces where the handle goes in, and both sides. So we're going to tack both sides on. The other one will be here, of course. And then, if you've seen the hammer, obviously, I think if you're watching this, you've probably seen at least pictures, if not video, of some of the licensed ones that come out. And I didn't make it on either this one or the steel hammer I made, but there are two lines incised into the steel, and they start about, do I have a pencil? They start about here and there, and they go across to about there. So they don't cut these fully in apart. They only go about 3/4 of the way. So I thought, I mentioned this before, I don't know if it made sense. What we're going to do is, I have no way of cutting those things. I don't have a machine shop here. I don't have a Bridgeport. I don't have any kind of a milling machine. So I can't mill these slots. So the only way I can think to do it is, since I'm going to double up all of the plates, I'm not going to double up this one, and this one yet. I'm going to take them on here, and I'm going to weld them into an assembly. This piece, and this piece. And then we'll take it over to the bandsaw, and we'll cut here and here. And then we'll separate these pieces, this one and this one, so that we give ourselves a 1/4 inch gap. There'll be a piece underneath each of these. So it will look like an incised a slot, but it won't be a slot. It will be the thing that we made, because we didn't have any way to make a slot. So we're going to lay these 3 pieces as an assembly. Well, now it's 3 pieces down onto the pieces that are below. And then we can weld it all together, and it will look like we milled a slot. And then we'll just take some little scraps, a little tiny piece of 1/4 inch. If we make our gap 1/4 inch, then we'll just take a little piece of 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch steel and put it in there, and just weld it really lightly over the top, and just so we can blend it, so that they'll stop. The cuts will stop about there, and there, and there, and there. So that's the way we're going to do it. And now I think is a good time to make that assembly and cut that assembly. I just have to go online and see if I can figure out where these cuts should be made. I don't want to do it randomly, although, nobody's going to notice probably. But I bet there's a distance that they generally are. This is a certain distance, or these are a certain distance. So I'm going to try and figure those out. In the meantime, I'm going to weld up, because I enjoy welding. I'm going to weld up this assembly, and I won't cut it, but I'm going to go ahead and weld it. All right, so before we go inside, this might be the end of this video. We have our piece welded up, and we need to go inside and see where to cut. We'll cut it, and then we can, when we build the box, we can place that in the correct place And I think it's going to look good.